Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here with Hollow Point Firearms, and just want to bring you guys a little video today on a bug out box. That's what I'm calling it. Prepper box, bug out box, short-term survival box, whatever you want to call it. Basically what it is going to be a box compiled with some different stuff in there based off of Dave Canterbury's 5 C's of survivability, and some extra stuff in there as well. And what we'll do with it is it will be intended to stay at a location and in a location where you would be bugging out to in the event of a bug out, or in a short-term survival kit kind of thing. Maybe you want to keep it in your vehicle, but whatever you want to use it for, you can use it there. I'm using a box today. You can also use a bag or whatever you want to do, but it needs to be something that can hold up to the weather. Like I said, I've chosen to use a little box, and I'm going to show you guys all about it. So stay tuned and we'll get started. Alright, so this is my box that I've got that I'm going to be using as my bug out box, alright, or my basic supply box. It's a pretty neat little box. I picked it up at a salvage shop, an antique shop, for $5. What it used to be was actually a silverware box. When I got it, it was painted this baby blue color, really ugly and tacky looking, and naturally that that high gloss paint that was on there would have made a good water sealer, alright, to keep out the water. But in this case, anybody that walks up on my shelter, I don't want it to just, bam, here you go, there it is, you know. I want it to kind of blend in, so natural wood, going to blend in a little bit better, I think. Also, down here on the bottom there was a drawer that pulled out that stored more silverware. The inside of the box here had a little shelf in it that was really flimsy, like cardboard. So basically what I did was I gutted it out. I took all the red stuff out except for what's on the top here, and I glued the drawer inside it, alright, and sealed it up, glued the front back on here and cleaned that up. And now this is going to be my box that houses my stuff, alright, for my bug out location. Alright, so it's pretty sturdy, pretty good little box. I think it's going to work out good, but I need to do something to treat it, alright. Now, yeah, I could use polyurethane, I could use, you know, whatever, but I don't feel like going and buying it. And two, I meant to do this video up at the camp outside. Unfortunately, my battery went dead while I was out there, so I didn't get to. So we're going to do this as if we were doing it out there with resources that I would have out in the woods. All right. So what I've got that I'm going to use is this block of lard. All right. You know, and we can talk a little bit about lard and a little bit about tallow. They're two different things, all right? Lard basically comes from pig fat, all right? And tallow comes from beef fat. The only difference, really, is tallow at room temperature is a little bit harder than lard is, all right? So it's a little bit different, not a whole lot, but this is still pretty solid. Lard's a decent consistency, all right, as far as solidness goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of this lard, and you can take this lard and put it on a rag and rub it directly into the wood, and you know, be just fine with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up, melt it down a little bit, and then rub it in like in a polishing motion, and that will help penetrate the wood a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get some lard melted down. Alright, so I've got some lard melted down in a pan here, and I'm just going to use a cotton rag, alright? And, you know, it doesn't take a very high temperature to melt lard down, so this isn't super hot, but it's hot enough that it's not solid anymore. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is seal the bottom up. I'm just going to dip my rag right in the lard, and then rub it into the wood. Alright, I'm going to do the whole bottom pretty thoroughly here. Now before I move on to doing the top and the inside, I'm I'm going to go ahead and bake it with a heat gun or a hair dryer. And then our last place will be the edges here. Now, we have a nice water treated with something natural, which is we use the lard, which is our natural treatment. That's going to help waterproof this box. All right. So I mean, no, you couldn't, throw it in a lake or something. But this is going to be inside the shelter, and mostly what I want it protected from is snow that blows in there. It doesn't blow a whole lot of snow in there. That and just the moisture in the air. All right. And this will really help water treat it, and it actually puts a really pretty finish on it too. I don't know if you guys can pick that up in the camera or not, but that looks really good, and it smells good. It smells like bacon. But anyway, so now that we've got that done, I'm going to show you guys what contents I would actually, or I'm going to actually put in here. Alright guys, the first C in survivability is a cutting tool. Alright, with a cutting tool, I can use that for a lot of different things. I can use it for skinning animals, I can use it for cutting firewood, I can use it for cutting cordage, I can use it for all kinds of things. A cutting tool is necessary. Alright, normally one cutting tool would do me, but I've got plenty of room in this box. So in this case, I'm going to have 3 different types of cutting tools. Alright, the first tool I'm going to have is a hatchet. Alright, it's just a plain old hatchet. Actually had this for a while. I've got it sharpened up, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my kit. Alright. I'm also going to have, my second cutting tool is going to be a Gerber knife. Alright, this one is, it's not the best knife in the world. It's pretty well balanced. I've had it for a long time. But this is going to make a nice cutting tool for skinning animals or any other big cutting that I need to do. It's not too small, not too big. It's still easy enough to handle, and it's got a nice hard sheath with it. Alright, so that's going to go in our box. And my third cutting tool is going to be a Leatherman, alright, multi-tool. Alright, so it's got a knife in there, plus I have some small tools in there if I need them, and I have a pair of pliers. Alright. Now normally, you guys know, in my kit I always carry a multi-tool. In the event that I didn't have that with me, I have one in my kit that's going to be waiting on me out there. Okay? The second C in the 5 C's of survivability is cordage. Alright, right here I've got about 150 feet of nylon cordage. Nylon cordage is good if you don't have like bank line or a 550 cord or something like that. It's a little stretchy, not too much, but it's enough that it's pretty good at being waterproof with the nylon cordage. Alright, and 2, it's sturdy, it's tough, and I should be able to do anything that I need to do with this cordage. Alright, so I keep it just wound up nice and tight here, and this will be the second thing in my kit, or the second C in the 5 C's of survivability. Alright, the third C in the 5 C's is combustion. Alright, we need to make a fire to cook our food, for heat, for warmth, for light, all that stuff. We need a fire, sanitizing water, everything. So in this kit, I have within a big kit, I have a small fire kit that I've made up. You guys have seen my videos on fire kits. You know I've got a magnesium flint and rod in here. I've got steel wool twine, dryer lint, and of course some wet fire. That stuff rocks. Alright, and my second source of fire is a big lighter. Alright, the lighter will work great as long as it's warm. When it gets cold, they suck. But in the event that I need it, I've got a fire kit in there also. Now along with that, you guys seen our video on the camp candles. I'm going to take a small camp candle and also put it in here as well. Alright, moving on to the 4th C. The 4th C is cover. All right, cover can be a tarp, it can be a emergency blanket, it can be a tent, it can be anything like that. That's cover. All right, it gets you out of the elements. It gets you in out of the rain, out of the snow, out of the wind, out of the sun. It takes you out of the elements, and it's dire necessity for survival. All right, in this case, my kit is going to be already inside a cover or a shelter. All right, but just to cover the 5 C's in an event of emergency, it was cold, I don't have a blanket or anything like that, I'm putting one emergency blanket in here. All right, a survival wrap. This is a 2-person survival wrap. It's made out of like an aluminum foil type material, so I can put that up and set in front of my fire that I built with my combustion device and radiate that heat right onto me. All right, so that is going to be the 4th item. All right, the 5th and final item for the 5 C's is a container. All right, with a container, I can capture water, I can capture snow, I can boil it over the fire, I can cook food in here, have something to drink out of, to rehydrate with. I can carry fire from one location to another if I have no other means of fire source. There's a lot of uses for a container, and in my opinion, this and a cutting tool and a combustion device are the top 3 out of the 5 C's, because you can always find stuff to make shelter with. All right, natural shelter for cover. All right, so if you've got these 3, the knife, the combustion, and the container, definitely not going to have any issues. All right, so that's going to go in our kit as well. All right, now since my container is big enough to store extra things, I've selected a few extra items that I'm going to put in here. All right, and this will just help out for morale, not necessarily for survival, but in the event of an attack or an emergency or something that I needed to bug out, it'd be nice just to have some extra luxuries in here. So what I'm going to also add to my kit is I have a Ziploc bag with about 4 packs of hot chocolate in there. All right, that's another C for you for survivability, chocolate, 6 C's. So I'm going to put that in there as well. All right, and then I also have a Cliff Bar and some candy. There's 2 more C's, so now we're up to 8 C's. But anyway, I have a Cliff Bar in here, a couple of little Snickers bars, just for some, some sugar to get something in my system to give me some energy, a little bit of a morale booster, whatever you want to look at it as. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to throw in here that I'm going to show you guys right now is some. I've got a little travel bottle of Jack Daniels. This can be used for inside warmth. It can also be used for trade. If you've got somebody else who's in the situation, maybe they have something that you need. Liquor is a great barter item in that type of situation. All right, so I'm going to keep one of those in there as well. All right, guys. One last thing that I'm going to have in my kit, just to add to it, is some ammo. All right. And I'm not going to keep a lot in there. I'm just going to keep enough that I could use it for either 1 trade or 2 for hunting or personal protection. Okay. I've picked 3 calibers that I'm going to have with me, and I'll explain why I have each caliber. The first one I'm going to have is 22 long rifle. All right. I've got 100 rounds of 40 grain 22 long rifle. The reason for picking 22 long rifle is because 22s are very common. People that don't even like guns or are anti-gun usually have a 22. All right, so I'll keep 100 rounds of 22. 22 is a pretty common weapon for me as well for squirrel hunting or whatever. So if for whatever reason I happen to get my hands on a 22 or had a 22 with me, I've got ammo in there for that. All right, my second choice, caliber of choice, is going to be 40 Smith & Wesson. All right, and if you guys have seen my other videos, you know that my concealed carry weapon is a 40 Smith & Wesson. So I'm going to keep 50 extra rounds of 40 Smith & Wesson in there. Obviously, I'll have 1 magazine in my pistol with 12 rounds in it. 13 if you count the 1 in the chamber. So I will have some extra ammo for that as well. Alright, and my last and final caliber of choice is 12 gauge. All right, you guys see my weapon of choice when I'm out in the woods, in the wilderness, and that is a 12 gauge. All right, because 12 gauge is very common, it's very easy to use, and more than likely, in the event of an emergency or something like that, you would be able to get your hands on a 12 gauge in every farmhouse around here. And 12 gauge ammo should be pretty easy to find. Okay, so I'm only carrying 5 rounds of 12 gauge ammo. I've got 3 high power turkey shots, and I've got 2 solid slugs. All right, hollow point slugs, and I'll keep those in there as well. And then also what I'll do is, since they are on this little bandolier, I'll just pull them down over top of my case of 40 ammo, and that'll help keep a little bit of moisture out of my ammo. Speaking of which, that's another reason why you want to waterproof your box, is because ammo will go bad if it's exposed to moisture. Alright, so we're going to put that in there as well. There's still room in here that you could add if you wanted to. You could add some more food items, whether it be groceries or sundries, whatever, inside your box. You could also add some more ammo if you wanted to, more bartering items, you know, whatever you wanted to do. There's room in there that you could add it in this box. Alright, but that's all I'm going to choose to put in there. Like I said, just the final step in my box is, what I'm going to do is, my lard has actually hardened up a little bit now. Alright, now you want to wait till you're ready to actually seal this thing up. I'm ready. All this stuff is staying in here. I'm not taking it out. My lard is hardened up just a little bit. So I'm going to take my finger and just put a little bit around the edge here. And you're just going to dabble it all the way around the edge. The reason why we put the lard around the edge is so when we close the box, it creates a seal. Alright, and if you did it right, you should probably have a little bit of lard smushing out of the sides. And what we'll do is just wipe that off. And that should create a little bit more of a seal for us on there. Now, the last step I'm going to do is, I'm going to put a seal around this to help hold everything together. Alright, and what I've chosen to use is an old bicycle tube. Alright, I think this is for a 12-inch bicycle tire or whatever. And I'm just going to actually, 12-inch. I split it open and created one long rubber seal. Alright, and what I'm going to do with that is just wrap it around. It's very tough, very thick. I'm going to stretch it over the top here and let it seal the gap around it, and it'll also help hold the lid shut. Alright, and then if you ever needed it, you can always use that to create a waterproof seal on something else. You could cut it and make a band out of it, whatever you might need to use it for. Alright guys, so that's our finished bug out box. Alright, remember, it's just the basics. I'm sure I'll have people on here commenting saying, oh, you should put this in it, you should put that in it, you should put a first aid kit in it. Just keep in mind, guys, this is what I want. If you want to put a first aid kit in yours, then by all means, put a first aid kit in there. Alright, you can put anything you want in it, as long as it fits. You can use any type of box you want. Like I said, I picked this box up at a salvage yard for a couple of bucks, and I intentionally didn't plan on using it for a bug out box. I bought it thinking it'd just be a cool box, and this is what I've chosen to use it for. Alright, so best of luck to you on preparing. I hope that, you know, the preppers that are already prepping, maybe they get something out of this, maybe have some advice. Also, you guys that are anti-preppers, maybe you'll see, you know, maybe get something out of what I was talking about, and you can actually be more prepared if something did happen. Alright, so as always, guys, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, and have fun. See you guys.